might go outside, but it's not that sunny right now. So the beautiful Frances, I have spoken to you before now. You've done wonderful stuff down in the hotspot.
Yeah.
From July 2000, I don't know exactly what month, but 2015, you fell under the spell of Kevin Higgins in Galway. Mm-hmm. He was your gateway drug into this world. A year later, July 2016, you're at Book Upstairs. You're doing great gatherings there on Delir Street. Was it something already in you that you sort of, I don't know if you recognised it before even meeting Kevin Higgins? This is something I'd love to do, or was that the beginning of it all?
Well, I was writing short stories and memoirs.
Right.
And I actually, the very first poetry class I took was in Dunleary Lexicon with Colm Keegan, and I knew him, so I was only just supporting him. And I ended up writing 5 poems. So then I did the one with Kevin. I actually did poetry really also to try and help my fiction writing. Okay. And then I got hooked on the poetry. It's shorter.
But it covers such a wide ground, because you look at the sort of, obviously the beat poets, there's a generation now of kind of angry young poets who is just like street slamming, and then from the Limerick to John Donne, there's a huge range of possibilities. Would you say you're kind of drawn to a particular, you have the humour, I know, because we'll talk about your limericks to Limerick, but would it come from a very sort of personal kind of diary stuff, or is it that you just like the rhythm and the rhythm of it? Or?
Yeah, I tend to write a lot about things that happen in my life.
So drugs and alcohol and all that, it's sex and drugs and all that. Yeah.
And I'll experiment, I'll say, let me try a villanelle this time, or,
nice.
If I just get bored with or sometimes it just comes out the way it comes out,
Right. And would it be fair to say that it's in a healthy, because I know like Elliot Crampton, I was going to say Elliot Crampton, so Claudia Crampton and there's Kate Tempest, and there's quite a few, I guess you could argue from Jamaican toasters to rappers, it's really just rhymes, it is just poetry. It does seem to be in a healthy sort of, I don't know if you feel that yourself. It's
coming back. It's definitely everywhere. That's what gave me the idea to do this, because I've been at open mics in Cork, Limerick, Galway, Barcelona, Holland, Tampa, Florida.
Well, that's it. We should make it exotic. You're on your way to Tampa, Florida when you realise that.
Google.
Yeah.
Poetry readings in Tampa.
Right.
And there was one 20 minutes for where my friend lived. So that was great. It's called Sham Sea.
Sham Sea. Okay. Oh, is that a reference? How would I get? What's the? Do you know if there's a reference?
It was a play on slam.
Okay. Oh, there you go. Maybe that's it. Yes. Yeah. Now there is as I said, kind of a growing youth culture. I would think that there's still, I don't know if there's the classical kind of idea of poetry. Ronnie Drew used to joke about the folk purists would argue against any kind of electrification of Irish folk music, and is there, I don't presume there's any kind of clashing in poetry. It's all good.
Yeah, I think when people complain, they don't rhyme anymore and they don't do it like the guys used to do it long ago, but actually they do, and people would spend hours trying to get a metre or a rhythm or
right.
But I suppose it is a lot of blank verse and that too.
Yeah.
But
well, well, you had great success in I know you had the gathering down in the hotspot. What's it called? Poets Abroad, right?
Poets Abroad.
There we go.
Facebook group.
There you go.
From all over the world.
Yeah.
And 8 of them came to read, and Colm Keegan came, and we had about 50 people on a very hot June afternoon.
Nice.
With a build up on the N11, they still came. And then I teach creative writing, and I had some of my classes in the hotspot at Christmas, and we had mulled wine and mince pies.
Boom.
And we sat around the fire, and they all read a Christmas theme. And I just want to stress too, don't be put off by poets, because if people want to come and read a story, that's okay too.
Right. Yes. We'll definitely emphasise that. And I think the idea too that, if you think it's a very fine line between stand-up comedy and getting up there and doing a poem, and it's pure kind of unadulterated joy, with stand-up comedy, and the idea that anybody kind of has the mix of bearing their soul while having, basically a kind of a good time. It's a lovely thing to share and to put it out there and all that. So I suppose there is that. But I was thinking, poets, they tend to be sort of soft, kind of hearts, but raging as well. There's a sort of, always an inner life. And obviously on a Wednesday night, it's good for the midweek drinker as well to sort of have an excuse to go out. But yeah, would you see yourself as somebody, I don't know, if given that you came from writing short stories into poetry, it's all the same to you? It's just all one big happy family? Or whether you feel you're now a poet more than a writer, or?
It's a hard thing to say, but then I found it hard to say I was a writer the first time too.
Right.
But I guess if you write poetry, you're a poet. But there is a difference, I think. But I find that most people do both.
Yeah.
Any of the people I meet tend to. But poetry, yeah, the spoken word then has become very popular too. It's kind of a little bit different than the open mic, where they actually are performance poets.
Right.
You know, and that's really big in town now. You know.
And what's kind of I've always often found very funny is that no matter what culture's going on, there's always sort of room for spoken word. So you think of someone like John Cooper Clarke, you know, that shouldn't work in the punk era.
Yeah.
To have this, you know, fuzzy-haired Dylan kind of esque looking guy just doing poetry and then gradually putting music behind it, but basically it's poetry. It's kind of fantastic that it still has a place, and it's still.
And Leonard Cohen, like he's.
Of course, he's a poet, really, and the people like Gil Scott Heron, they're really just reading out long kind of diatribes and poetry, and so it's Wednesday night, 7:30. We should finish by, I don't know if you can repeat. You did, as alluded to earlier, you entered and got into the kind of final round for Bring Your Limericks to Limerick competition.
Right, yeah.
Can you remember your beautiful limerick? Because I'm a fan of.
What was mine?
There was a young man from Enos.
It was a lonely boatman from Banagher had all the young ladies in a stir. At the helm he was hot, too cool to tie the knot, preferring to birth like a bachelor.
Hey! Nice.